On a cold evening amidst pouring rain, the police received an urgent call from a citizen reporting the discovery of a woman's body abandoned by the roadside. This was the beginning of a mysterious story about a fateful encounter with a red-haired woman, a character whose presence brought chilling secrets. The body of the victim, identified as Clara Brown, a schoolteacher who had been missing for 2 weeks, was found tightly bound, with deep cuts on her arms and legs. These marks indicated that Clara had been tortured before she died. Her face was pale, and her golden hair covered in mud, creating an eerie and haunting scene. The police began the investigation with very few clues. All signs pointed to a red-haired woman named Ruby, who was often seen near Clara's residence before her disappearance. Ruby lived in isolation in a small house on the outskirts and usually avoided her neighbors. Rumors began to spread, suggesting that Ruby engaged in strange behavior at night and even had hypnotic powers. A few days after their meeting, Clara suddenly disappeared, and Ruby quickly became a prime suspect. However, Ruby insisted she had nothing to do with Clara's death, raising the question of who the real murderer was. The investigation continued with the help of psychological experts, who discovered that Clara had been obsessed with a serial killer known as RedJack, who had murdered many young women in the area about 15 years ago. The cuts on Clara's body were identical to those on RedJack's victims. However, the strange thing was that RedJack had been caught and executed years before. This raised the question of whether it was a copycat killer or if something even more mysterious was at play. After weeks of investigation, the police uncovered a horrifying truth. The person behind Clara's death was her neighbor, Michael Carter. Michael, who had a history of psychological abuse, had developed an obsession with RedJack's story. He believed he was continuing RedJack's unfinished work, and Clara was just one of his targets. Handwritten letters found in Michael's apartment showed he was obsessed with a red-haired woman, who he believed was guiding him. Ruby was merely an innocent witness caught in this dark story. The case concluded with Michael being arrested and sentenced to life imprisonment. However, many questions remained. Was the appearance of the red-haired woman in Clara's story merely a coincidence? Or was there a mysterious force manipulating these people's minds? Leave your thoughts below, and let's discuss this together.